Well, hello, beautiful people. We are back at it one more time again. And today we are covering, like I said, I think, I told you before, this is the most powerful chapter of the whole book, Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil, Chapter 9, Education and Religion, and really all of its flaws. That's what the whole chapter name should be called. It is just an exciting, very controversial chapter, but I think it was definitely needed to be told and said, and we still need to continue to do more about it because I definitely feel more passionate than ever, especially over the 20 years plus that I've been learning all this work and realizing, like, why is it that other people don't know about this? It's kind of like if you knew the cure to cancer, and you're just trying to spread the word as much as possible, and you're just hoping anybody that would listen would. And that's kind of how this work feels. It's like we're living in this autopilot that we don't even realize that we're in. Could be doing so much more and different things, and the sky is the limit for us, but yet we live these mediocre lives. But the one thing that I learned about leadership, and I know I put this in another video too, is that the only way to lead somebody is to first lead yourself. So it starts with you. So I'm glad you guys are here, taking on yourselves, learning this information. We're learning this together so that we can go out there and lead other people, because that's why I do this work and why this is so exciting, and why I can't wait to continue to get going with this chapter. And I hope you guys are so much enjoying this book. All the feedback has been great, and I love doing this kind of stuff. I want to do. I'm going to be doing. I know a lot of people been asking. I'm going to be doing regular videos also too, but at the same time, I want to get this out so the information's there. So then that way, there's a playlist available, and then we can get on and move to the other stuff. Because I'm not doing this as a full-time job yet. This is just something that I get to do on the side, but I really enjoy doing it, and I want to continue to do it. No matter what the view count is. And so, but that's also why I would love for you guys to recommend this out and push this out to other people so that we can continue to spread this and make this a lot of fun and exciting thing for everybody, and make it in an easy way for everybody to really understand these powerful tools and techniques that have been out there for years, and we're just finally hearing them, probably a lot of you guys, for the first time. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get back into it. And we are in chapter 9, Education and Religion, and this is going to be the final part of that chapter. All right, so here we go.
How could the suggested changes be forced into the public school system? You know, of course, it is as difficult to get a new idea into an educator's brain as it is to interest a religious leader in modifying religion so it will help people to get more from life.
The quickest and surest way to force practical ideas into the public schools is to first introduce the ideas through private schools and establish such a demand for their use that public school officials will be compelled to employ them.
Should any other changes be made in the public school system?
Yes, many. Among other changes needed in all public school programs is the addition of a complete course of training in the psychology of harmonious negotiation between people. All children should be taught how to sell their way through life with the minimum amount of friction.
There you go.
Every public school should teach the principles of individual achievement through which one may attain to a position of financial independence. Classes should be abolished altogether. They should be replaced by the round table or conference system, such as businessmen employ.
Love that.
All students should receive individual instruction and guidance in connection with subjects which cannot be properly taught in groups. Every school should have an auxiliary group of instructors consisting of business and professional people, scientists, artists, engineers, and newspapermen, each of whom would impart to all the students a practical working knowledge of his own profession, business, or occupation. This instruction should be conducted through the conference system to save the time of the instructors.
What you have suggested is, in effect, an auxiliary system of instruction that would give all school children a working knowledge of the practical affairs of life, direct from the original source. Is that the idea?
You've stated it correctly.
This is another subject that strikes close to home. My husband recalls that during the early 1970s in New Jersey, one of the organizations that he was involved with assembled a group of scientists and businessmen to teach basic courses, for example, mathematics and physics, in their fields as volunteers in the public schools, only to be told that since the scientists and businessmen were not professional teachers, they were not welcome. More recently, the mission of bringing practical teaching into the schools has been popularized by several groups. Teach for America, America Saves, Junior Achievement, but is still often viewed as enhancement material and not part of the core curriculum. This and many other shifts in how content, context, principles, and skills are delivered to our children in our compulsory system of education need to be included as part of an interactive, experiential process that will determine how our children live their lives and what impact they will have on this complex world in which we live. The challenge is this: how do we package it all into a deliverable program that can be systematically and systemically implemented so it is success-oriented, rewarding, and fulfilling for all participants, children and adults alike? I am pleased and proud to say that I work with groups that have designed such programs, and they are taking these programs forward with definiteness of purpose. Their vision of the future, like ours, is to have an educational system that evolves into a powerful force capable of producing self-motivated, independent thinking, self-reliant, contributing members of society, and capable also of producing something more important: future generations ready and able to work in a complex world, to live successfully, to take pleasure in empowering themselves and others, and to make a real and lasting difference in the world as informed, responsible, involved global citizens, each with definiteness of purpose.
Love that.
Let us dismiss the public school system and go back to the churches for a moment. All my life, I've heard clergymen preaching against sin and warning sinners to beware and repent so they could be saved. But I've never heard any of them tell me what sin is. Will you give me some light on this subject?
Sin is anything one does or thinks which causes one to be unhappy. Human beings who are in sound physical and spiritual health should be at peace with themselves and always happy. Any form of mental or physical misery indicates the presence of sin.
Name some of the common forms of sin.
It is a sin to overeat because that leads to ill health and misery. It is a sin to overindulge in sex because that breaks down one's willpower and leads to the habit of drifting. It is a sin to permit one's mind to be dominated by negative thoughts of envy, greed, fear, hatred, intolerance, vanity, self-pity, or discouragement, because these states of mind lead to the habit of drifting. It is a sin to cheat, lie, and steal, because these habits destroy self-respect, subdue one's conscience, and lead to unhappiness. It is a sin to remain in ignorance, because that leads to poverty and loss of self-reliance. It is a sin to accept from life anything one does not want, because that indicates an unpardonable neglect to use the mind.
Is it a sin for one to drift through life without definite aim, plan, or purpose?
Yes, because this habit leads to poverty and destroys the privilege of self-determination. It also deprives one of the privilege of using his own mind as a medium of contact with infinite intelligence.
Are you the chief inspirer of sin?
Yes, it is my business to gain control of the minds of people in every way possible.
Can you control the mind of a person who commits no sin?
I cannot, because that person never permits his mind to be dominated by any form of negative thought. I cannot enter the mind of one who never sins, let alone control it.
What is the commonest and most destructive of all sins?
Fear and ignorance.
Have you nothing else to add to the list?
There is nothing else to be added.
What is faith?
It is a state of mind wherein one recognizes and uses the power of positive thought as a medium by which one contacts and draws upon the universal store of infinite intelligence at will.
In other words, faith is the absence of all forms of negative thought. Is that the idea?
Yes, that is another way of describing it.
Has a drifter the capacity to use faith?
He may have the capacity, but he does not use it. Everyone has the potential power to clear his mind of all negative thoughts and thereby avail himself of the power of faith.
Stating the matter in another way, faith is definiteness of purpose backed by belief in the attainment of the object of that purpose. Is that correct?
That's the idea exactly.
Faith is a state of mind wherein one recognizes and uses the power of positive thought as a medium by which one contacts and draws upon the universal store of infinite intelligence at will. Hill succinctly sums up the definition. Faith is definiteness of purpose backed by belief in the attainment of the object of that purpose.
Lovely. All
Chapter 10.
right.
Self.
Let's go ahead and end it right there. We are now done with chapter 9. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. It was a long chapter, but very well needed. Just to kind of recap, a lot of the things and some really huge viewpoints that, this part in particular that covered. I mean, let alone because how much he covered in the earlier parts about education and how much we can evolve and change that. And this book was written again in 2011. So even now, relevant in 2024, whenever you're watching this, we're still not seeing those drastic changes, and nor is anybody talking about this. So let's hope that this really does start to get out there. And the only way that it does is they can't cover it up. They can't hide it from people. And this is why we continue to do this, this video and get this out there, this type of information, and then again, when he is talking about religion, and we all have to come to an understanding. I think this was the big aha moment where I really started to at least having a better understanding with my mom before she passed. And I think she just had a better understanding of me, because I do believe in God. I've always believed in God. I think at one point in my life I struggled with that, but I don't struggle with that anymore. I understand that there is a higher power, but I don't believe, in all the things that man-made religion necessarily says. And there's a big difference there, because there is no form of empowerment usually, and one thing about my mom, that was very apparent was she was married she was married, but she was married to religion. She was married to the church. She was married to the idea of doing good here so that she would be rewarded in the afterlife. And it's hard to say whether that's true or not. And I'm not here to want to say whether it is or it isn't. But at the same time, we have to be present with where we are now. Being focused on what happens after, that's a huge gamble. And that's assuming that God is judging us, or even the devil is judging us. And I think this book is really putting a microscope under that, and really examining, is that really the case? Is that really what's happening? And you finally get to decide for yourself in a well prepared way of looking at it, to see a counter argument for that. And again, nothing against religion, but again, are you feeling empowered? Do you feel growth? Do you feel like, there's life outside of church, if that's what you're doing? And, do you feel like you're constantly unhappy? Because, what the devil was talking about is that's ultimately what sin is. It's just always being unhappy, not being happy with what you're doing, because you're always living in regret. You're always thinking about, well, I could be better, which is very the toxicity of self-talk within yourself, which is horrible. And I have a whole video on that I will post up here, so you guys can watch that, and understanding why you want to just feel happy and be happy no matter what, and say positive things to yourself and uplifting things, because we are our own worst critics. Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I again really love doing this, and we're going to be getting into the final chapters. I think we've got like maybe 2 more chapters left of this. So we're getting down to the final end, but I'm really excited, and really excited of what's to come. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe the video, hit the notification bell so that you get all of the new content that is coming out. And I look forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow, or if you're on the playlist, see you in the next video. You guys take care and make it a great day.